Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Saturday on Nursing in USA channel. My name is Norbert. Today, we're gonna look at the TEAS test tips for the math session. So I'll be talking about the tips that you need to tackle the math section of your TEAS. So, as usual, I told you in the past that we're gonna be going through this slide for retention and recollection purposes. The TIS test is multiple choice, as we all know, so it is beneficial sometimes to make educated guess. If you are not sure of which answer is correct, it is allowed that you make an educated guess, often based on experience. If you follow your first instinct, you will always get the answer correct. So, another tip is you can work backward when you are solving these questions. Sometimes you might have more success in answering a question by looking at the options first and working backward. This technique is especially useful in math section, as you will see as we go to the slides that will come after this particular slide. You will see this particular tips where we apply these particular tips. So it is also allowed to look for absolute words when you are taking these tests. Look for words that signals incorrect statements. For instance, the use of the words like always, never, all, only, must, and will. Statements using absolute or definite words tends to be incorrect because they do not apply in all situations. I believe this can also apply in math, especially in the word when we are solving word problems. Recognize opposite response options. You have to recognize opposite response options. If you find two opposite response choices, one is always probably is probably correct. So you can also use the trick of covering up the choices and answer and then answer the question. You have to cover up the choices, like the options you are given. Just read the questions. This the choice might make you second guess, so most times you can cover the choices and then read the question and answer it, then open up the answer. If you know the answer without looking at the choices, choose the option closest to your answer and not second guess yourself by reading the distractors. So the last tips, as we can see on the slide, is rule out wrong answers. You can do this by using your existing knowledge. You might be able to identify an incorrect answer. Eliminate incorrect answers and focus on the remaining choices. Okay, now let us look at some of the areas of concentration that you don't want to play with. These areas of concentration, you must make sure that you cover these areas of concentration before you get into the test, into the test teas, because half preparation is dangerous. Make sure you cover the syllabus for the TEAS test. So for the math session, you have to concentrate on order of operations. So for order of operations, make sure you are familiar with the acronym PEMDAS. PEMDAS stands for parenthesis, exponent, multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. So when you have a problem under order of operation, use this acronym to solve that problem. In a situation whereby you have um, the division, the addition, and subtraction come together, you have to solve accordingly. Solve the one that comes first. You can see PEMDAS. Under PEMDAS, you see division comes first, addition follows, and subtraction. I'm not talking about the PEM right now. I'm talking about the last three acronym DAS. So you have to solve in order. But first off, solve the problems that are within the parentheses. After that, go to the exponent. After exponent, solve the multiplication. After multiplication, go to the division. After division, solve the addition. After solving the addition problem, solve the subtraction. Then you will now get your final answer. Then you have to double check with the multiple choices that are given on that particular day. So make sure you are familiar with problems that has to do with fractions, also those that have to do with decimal. Familiarize yourself with word problems. In word problems, make sure you break down each problem and solve them separately. This will help you a lot. Don't forget this. When you are solving a word problem, break them down and solve each of them separately. And then this is where you're going to implement the test tips I mentioned earlier. You have to apply the strategy or the technique of solving backward. Now, if you know the question, read the question, or you can use the answer, and you can use the multiple choice answer that you're given to get the final answer by maybe plugging in one answer at a time when you are solving those questions that you'll be given under word problems. So another one is calculating percentages. So percentage shows a fraction of 100. Have that in mind. Percentage shows a fraction of 100. Familiarize yourself with proportions and ratios. Then also make sure you know how to solve the mean, median, mode, and range. And another area you have to look at is areas and perimeters. Then make sure you study the metric system. Under the metric system, always know that centimeters to make sure you know how to convert centimeters to inches, also how to convert inches to centimeter, kilogram to pounds, pounds to kilogram, Celsius to Fahrenheit, and others. So furthermore, you have to know how to solve data interpretations. When you are talking about data interpretations, you're looking at the independent and dependent variables. So you have to know what they mean and also know how to apply them in a particular scenario when you ask questions regarding data interpretation. Also, you're gonna have problems from algebra, under algebra. So under algebra, you will see problems that has to do with variables, constants, coefficients, operators, terms, and expressions. On this slide, we have spontaneous tips for exam day. So what I try to do here is to come up with important information that you need to remember before getting into your test room. These are information that you need to have on your fingertips before you get into your test room, because when you know all this particular information that starts from this slide and after it, you will be able to solve a lot of problems. These are like salient points that you don't have to forget. You need them to solve and get correct answers. You need to like use them to address a lot of questions. So that's why I had to gather spontaneous tips around them. And you have to, before this slide, you must have already mastered all the areas of concentration. And this particular slide and the subsequent ones will help you to remember those that you need to like get into the exam, get into the test with. That way you can pinpoint the correct answers during your test. So on this slide, I would like you to have this particular acronym when you are asked questions regarding Roman numerals. The acronym is IVX-LCDM. So the I stands for 1, V is equals to 5, X is equals to 10, L is equals to 50, D is equals to 500, M is equals to 1000. So when you master this, you can navigate around whatever question that comes from the Roman that comes with Roman numeral. So I gave you an example on this slide. So example, if you are asked what is the figure for the Roman numeral LS, so what you're gonna do, if you know the acronyms IVS, L, C, D, M, so you ask about LS, so you know that L is 50 and X is 10. So when you ask what is the Roman numeral of LS, what it means that you're going to add 50 to 10, that will give you 60. So the Roman numeral for LS is 60. It's like that. That's simple, straight on the point. You just hit the hammer on the nail. So no beating about the bush. So know these acronyms and apply it. However the question comes, if you know this, you can navigate and get the answer as fast as possible. So another spontaneous tips for your exam day has to do with when you are asked about interest in a word problem. So whenever you're asked about interest in a word problem, remember that interest is equals to principal times rate times time. So P stands for principal, R is rate, and T is time. So however you're asked about the problem, if you know what each of these stands for, you can manipulate the question or the solution depending on what you're asked. If you are sometimes you have to cross multiply, as you mean you're not asked for interest and then you're asked, okay, what is the principal? So if you know that, okay, interest is equals to PRT, you can now manipulate, bring out, know how to cross multiply and solve for the principal, or solve for the rate, or solve for the time. So just master the formula and then know how to manipulate when each of or any of them is asked for. You can know how to manipulate the solution and get the answer. So for questions on the metric system, try to remember that 1 yard is equals to 36 inches. 1 foot is equals to 12 inches. 1000 milligram is equals to 1 gram. 1 liter is equals to 1000 cubic centimeter. 1 liter is equals to 1000 milliliter. To convert, have this in mind. When you want to convert kg to pounds, don't forget this. Multiply the number of kg by 2.2. If you want to convert kg to pounds, you have to multiply whatever number you are giving for the kg by 2.2. That way you can convert the kilogram to pounds. So if you want to convert pounds to kg, you now divide. Know the difference. If you are converting from kg to pounds, multiply that number by 2.2. But if you are converting from pounds to kg, you have to divide that number by 2.2. So to convert Fahrenheit to Celsius, you have to first subtract 32 and then multiply by 5 divided by 9. So let's say, okay, if you want to convert Fahrenheit to Celsius, what you're gonna do is 32 minus the Fahrenheit times 5 divided by 7. So the far there is Fahrenheit. So whatever number you're giving for the Fahrenheit, minus or subtract it from 32, then whatever you get, times it with the division of 5 by 7. That way you will get the answer. Then for Celsius to Fahrenheit, what you're going to do now, remember the first one we do is the first one I said right now is Fahrenheit to Celsius, but then for Celsius to Fahrenheit, you have to multiply the division of 9 by 5 by Celsius plus 32. So when you divide 9 by 5, you times it by the Celsius, then add 32 to it. That way you will get the answer. So metric system continued. So have in mind that 1 gallon is equals to 4 quarts, 1 cm is equals to 10 mm, 1 ton is equals to 2,000 pounds, 1 m is equals to 100 cm, 1 decameter is equals to 1,000 centimeter. Well, excuse me, let me take a sip of my tea. And then 1 decimeter is equals to 10 cm. Do not forget that 1 yard is equals to 3 foot. 1 mile is equals to 1.6 km, kilometer. 1 foot is equals to 12 inches. 1 yard is equals to 36 inches. And 1,000 gram is equals to 1 kilogram. So let us look at perimeters and areas, or areas and perimeters. So what you're going to remember on this particular area where you're going to be tested upon, areas and perimeter, what you have to remember is that if the radius of a circle is doubled, have this in mind, when the radius of a circle is doubled, the area will increase 4 times. Do not forget this. The area, if the radius of a circle, you are solving a problem under areas and perimeter, and the radius of a circle is doubled, the area will increase 4 times. So when you're choosing your answer, you're gonna know, when you're solving, be careful about this. Make sure you know that the sum of the angle must equal 180. The sum of an angle is equals to 180. Then pi. Whenever you hear pi, you know that you're talking about 3.141,592. Most times they won't give you the number. You ask you, oh, but when they write the symbol for pi, and they wouldn't give you the number. But if you know what pi stands for, pi is always 3.141,592. You can plug in this particular number and keep solving your problem. That way you won't waste time, or you won't miss anything. So in any equilateral triangle, all the altitudes are equal. So when you are solving a problem that has to do with equilateral triangle, make sure you remember that all the altitudes, are equal. So another point is that area of a rectangle, if you're asked to solve for the area of the rectangle, always know that it's equals to width times length. Area of a rectangle is equals to width times length. So some problems, when you see this PUQ, you know that they are talking about P or Q. PUQ, like it's a symbol that looks like Q. So know that they are talking about P or Q. So when you see P N, it's always like sliding like it looks like N, but then the other one looks like Q. So when you see the one that looks like P and Q, you know that it stands for P and Q. So U is all, N is end. So let's recap. As a recap for this video, in this video I started by talking about the generalities test tips, as we have done in the previous video. We also listed areas of concentration for the math section of the TEAS. In order for you to pass the TEAS, you must master the areas of concentration. So I made a list of them for the math section. I also gave you spontaneous tips for the test day, where I spoke about the Roman numeral, metric system, and area of perimeter. I spoke about these so that you can, because I feel that those areas, the points I discussed in this particular video, are the things that you need to you don't have to miss it, because if you miss it, it's going to mess up a lot of problems that you will see on the TEAS test day. Then one secret I want to tell you is that with math, you want to practice, practice, and practice. Practice is the key. The more you practice, the more you solve problems on the math section, the more familiar you get with the question. So if you solve enough problem, however the problem comes on that particular test day, you will know how to navigate. Let me say something. On the test day, on the 4 sessions, I found that I did better on the math. Why? Because I like to conquer this impression people have that, oh, math is difficult. Math, I conquered this when I was in the high school, and I had to, how I did it was, I had to, like, every day, literally every day, I was solving math problems. Before I knew it, that fear went off. It went off from my mind, it went off from my body. So I now enjoy math. When I hear math, I want to do it. So do not be scared do not be scared of math section of the TEAS. Math is easy. Let me say it again. Math is easy. You know what makes it easy? You're gonna solve it every day. So what gives you challenge? You wanna fight with it every day. So when you keep fighting and solving problems every day, you will conquer it. So do not forget, for the math session, if you want to come out good on that particular area, solve and solve and solve and solve a lot of problems. That way, if you get into the TEAS test, and the TEAS test, the math there is like simple, pretty simple, straightforward. So the more you solve, the more you can answer the questions and answer them on time and on a fast speed. So guys, I thank you for taking your time to watch this video and listening to what I have spoken about in this particular video. As usual, I will solicit that you do not forget to subscribe to this channel if you have not subscribed to this channel. If you have subscribed to this channel, you can as well go ahead and like this channel. If you have any comments or any clarification, or if you want to contribute to our audience in any way, you can do that by leaving a comment that will help myself and our audience to be able to pass the TEAS test in order for them to get into the nursing program. Guys, make sure wherever you are, you stay safe, enjoy your weekend, and have the rest of your day full of fun. Thank you. Remain blessed.